Welcome back to BRG Live, and on tonight's show I've got three of the UK's top luthiers.
That's right, Gareth. There's so many of them, so many in fact. Up ahead, like this show, will be featuring episodes showing the craftsmen how good they are with their tools and their chisels. Plenty good craftsmen out there.
And I go back to 2018 where I meet Rosie from Turnstone Guitars, who makes fantastic handmade acoustic instruments, all from UK woods.
And as a special treat, we'll be rolling out with an interview with the very colourful Bob Sawyer and all his psychedelia and memorabilia and his drippy guitars, something to be seen. He was also in Praying Mantis and the first incarnation of Iron Maiden.
But before all that, let's see how Lars got on talking to master luthier James Collins over lockdown.
Joining me now is James Collins. Welcome, James.
Hey, Lars.
How are you, James?
I'm very well, thanks.
That's nice to know. We're in a tough time at the moment, obviously, for the live music scene, but I've talked to lots of the luthiers lately whose order books are pretty well full up, and if it takes, say, 4 to 6 weeks to make a guitar each time, it's taken them right through this lockdown period. How is the story the same for you?
Our sort of turnaround's about 8 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks. And just at the start of lockdown, we got 3 orders, which was great. 2 of which are just finishing now, which will be going to America at the end of this week. And also we built a couple stock guitars during that time. So the sort of lockdown was okay for us.
The question's always been asked, will anybody ever make the perfect guitar? I mean, there's so many equations, the sonic equations, the physics, the aesthetics that go with it all, obviously. But you do have a reputation for making some great guitars that obviously sound and play really well.
Wood choices come into it quite a great deal for us. The hardware, quality of everything, basically. There's not really any compromise with boutique guitars.
I've met you several times, and I remember we met at the Holy Grail Guitar Show in Berlin. I think that was 2018. And one of the projects from the show was to make a guitar from woods sourced in their areas. And you used, as you're based down there in Sussex, you used Sussex ash.
Really sort of liked the idea of doing a local woods challenge, and actually it opened up some new woods to us, particularly the ash and Sussex ash and the walnut that we use a lot on our other guitars. That was just really nice. We used bog oak for the fretboards, and it was a great, fun project, actually. I've got the guitar that I can show you if you'd like.
Yeah, that would be great.
So, this is the English walnut, and this is all the lovely Sussex ash.
You're not using too much ash at the moment. I notice you're using English walnut, for example.
Yeah, we use a lot of walnut, actually. It's possibly our most popular one.
You obviously used maybe Cocobolo and Ziricote from all around the world, Ebony, for example.
Cocobolo's stunning.
So you've got several fine touches with the James Collins guitars, for example, the crescent F hole, and you've also got the wave, the famous wave, which runs down through the fingerboard. Is that inlaid by hand also? It must be.
Yeah, so I cut them on the bandsaw, then we rejoin them with usually a maple veneer in the middle. We sort of cheat a little bit by using baseboards, fretboards, blanks, so we can cut the head veneer and the fretboard out of it, so the line is continuous. Again, I've got the Ebony Gtr that we've literally just finished to show you if you'd like.
Yeah, let's go, let's see, come on, love it.
So this is the maple wave we're talking about. So this matches up from the headstock to through the fretboard, comes out here.
Well, carving the F hole there looks a little bit tricky. Obviously a steady hand and a steady eye. So how many guitars are in the actual GT range?
Well, we've had 5. 2 flat top versions of the double cut and 3 carved, and we're just introducing a 6th model, which is the signature GTO for Aston Cellas. It's a wider bodied, longer bodied GTO, made of maple instead of mahogany, 18th fret neck join as well as at a 16th. Good sort of jazzer style guitar, basically.
That's great, and we're going to see Aston playing that soon up ahead in the video we're going to play out with. So you're obviously selective about the woods you choose. Are you selective about the hardware, pickups, capacitors, etc.?
Absolutely, yeah. We're using bare knuckle pickups, so hand wound in the UK, and we've been able to dial in the tone a little bit with what magnets we choose to use and sort of what style of pickup to suit the woods. We're using Tone Pro's bridges and tail pieces, quality capacitors, pots and tuners, obviously.
We are in the modern world, of course, where a lot of the big brands are making, say, I don't know, 3 or 4 guitars every other day maybe, where there is a need for CNC machines. But are you still hands-on in the dusty workshop with the chisels?
We love doing it all by hand. We're obviously using thickness planers, sanders, spoke shaper necks, which is a fantastic part of it, and we hand carve the tops.
Just tell me a little bit more, James, about the Aston Cellas semi-acoustic. How acoustic are they inside? Have you got a centre block run down through the middle?
Yeah, so it starts off with 2 large maple blocks joined, and then we hollow out the internal, leaving a block. We take out about 30 mil, so it's a 40 mil thick body. It has a quilt maple cap on it, and we have a nice sustain and nice resonance.
It's obviously a signature model. Will it be available as a current model?
Absolutely, yeah. And part of the signature GTO is that the wood choices are sort of set. Pickups, our Nico 2 we use, bare knuckle Stormy Mondays, the Ebony fretboard. It's all been chosen to really bring out the best for that style.
Well, James, thank you so much for talking to BRG Live. I can just wish you all the best for the future. Keep making guitars, and now we're going to play out with Aston Cellas. Yeah, I've known James Collins for several years now. Great guitars, I can say that firsthand. And as you heard him say, during lockdown, he's actually built some stock. So if you're interested, check out his website. Anyway, let's go and see how Gareth's getting on with Rosie at Turnstone Guitars.
Welcome back to Britain's Rare Guitars. I'm here with Rosie Hayden-Rich from Turnstone Guitars, and well, she's made this gorgeous instrument I have in my hands. Rosie, could you tell me a little bit about the woods in this guitar?
So this guitar is what's called an E-series. It's made entirely out of English woods. I do use traditional woods as well, but English woods is something that I've become interested in. Finding all the different woods that can be used for the different parts of the guitars, showing that you can use alternative woods, and equally maybe finding a new unique sound through experimenting with slightly different woods.
All right, well, let's have a run through this guitar. Let's start from the top.
Yep, so on the top we have English Cherry, which is teamed with what we've got on the back and sides. A beautiful example of English Cherry. On the back of the headstock we have English Sycamore, which is very similar to European Maple.
It's got that gorgeous flame on the very maple-esque.
Yeah, lovely flame On the neck we have English walnut, which is 5-piece laminate, and that runs down into the binding, which is also used around the edge, and that's surrounded by London plane. On the top, if we flip it around, on the soundboard we have English grown Monterey cypress, and again kind of coming back to the cohesive theme of using woods and being inspired by more decoratively by woods than really anything else, using a nice simple cherry rosette here but also in the fret markers. And on the fretboard we have what's called bog oak, which is it's a cool wood with a cool story. It's about 5,000 years old, fell into the bogs in East Anglia. The tannins in the oak reacted with the carbon and the minerals in the bog, which turned it this natural black colour. But it also has structurally, that process makes it more dense. So it's structurally great. It looks a little bit like ebony.
Yeah,
so aesthetically,
ebony-esque.
it works really nicely.
Yeah, you can see on the sides it's jet black.
Yeah, and it ranges hugely in colour. So you can get browns, light browns, but you equally can get this jet black example, which...
Yeah, and if you look really close, you can almost see the old brown oak colour on the fretboard there.
And you can often see in it medullary rays, which you see in regular oak. When it's cut on the quarter, you get these lovely kind of rays, and you can get those in the fretboards as well.
Cool, so you say you started in 2010, it was more of a hobby, and 8 years later you're crafting these fantastic handmade instruments, custom design, and getting flown around the world to customers. You went to California, didn't you?
Yeah, just recently, yeah. It takes a lot of perseverance. I can't say that it's easy, but yeah, if you've got tenacity and the patience for it, I think more than anything, and the right attitude for kind of dealing with the curveballs that Luthier can throw you, and dealing with all of those things that, yeah, it's definitely something that has become my passion.
So this instrument is gorgeous. How long would it take to make an instrument like this?
Equivalent of labour for me, about one a month, but I build in batches, so say I'll build 2 or 3 at the same time. Including finishing, it may actually be spread over a longer time, but equivalent in hours of about 1 a month.
All right, so a lot of lady hours.
Yes, lady hours, many lady hours.
To find out more about Turnstone guitars, there's an excellent interview with Rosie in this month's issue of Guitarist magazine.
Like all the luthiers on this show, Rosie has got such a talent. Beautiful guitars, beautifully finished off. If you want to see what she's got for sale, have a look at her website. Have a look.
Moving on, we have another great luthier from here in the UK, Druzkowski Guitars.
Let's see Presmek demo his own guitars at the BIG live show last year.
I'm sure everybody knows Dream Theater and knows phenomenal multi-instrumentalist Jordan Rudess. Year ago at the NAMM show, he visited my stand and he loved this very guitar, the Octane. He asked me to make him one. So I made him one with a couple of differences. The difference were mainly to the inlay, which you can see right now on the carbon fiber one.
That's his logo, isn't it?
Yeah, and also the pickups and the electronics, the wiring. So I did this guitar, delivered to him, we had a chat, we had a jam, it was great, fantastic person, but Jordan suggested that maybe we can have a Wizard guitar as a Wizard guitar, so I already started making the Wizard guitars as well, so if anybody is interested, can order a Wizard.
Can you bring them up here a little bit? Can we have a little bit closer, Pres, mate? Because Jordan is primarily the keyboard player.
Jordan is primarily keyboard player, yeah, but he also plays the guitar, and he really loves this kind of approach. And when he was recording his latest album, Wired for Madness, I know that he uses his Wizard, Druzkowski Wizard guitar. After we designed it and finished the project of the Wizard guitar, which is 8-string, Jordan asked me if I can make him something ultralight. So, and if I can make it of carbon fiber. So I said, yes, I can do that. I tried. It was the first approach. So what I did a prototype #1, which I demoed to him during this NAMM show. And he likes that, but he asked me to do some amendments. So I did these amendments on the prototype 2, which we can see here. And recently we've seen each other in Ghent when they were on the tour with Dream Theater. And Jordan has, again, another information for me to improve the guitar. So I did it and sent him the prototype #1, which he has right now at home. Following that, there was another guitar which I have recently been asked to make for...
I've been following this on Instagram, actually.
Yeah, for Patrick Mameli from legendary band Pestilence. Patrick has seen the guitar I made for his guitarist, Kalin Parasiv, and he also asked me if I can make something for him, so we were working on a design first. I had a couple of visuals.
I love the body shape. Is that for the ergonomics of the...
That's how Patrick wants it. That's how he likes it, how he wants to have it. So it is small, fairly easy to travel with. As you can see, the guitar is not big. And he challenged me, actually, I have to say, with making this inlay, which is Pestis, for this the thing you can find on their albums, like Testimony of Ancients.
How long does it take you to make one of these?
Oh,
I mean,
it took me a while.
different-
This was a while.
Well, that inlay alone, there was just so many Instagram posts, wasn't there?
Yeah, if you can see that each element has its own shape, so I kind of had to shape it first and then inlay it into the guitar. Again, the instrument is made in this neck through body construction with a EMG pickup and the technology for musician, and beautiful.
And we gave him a hand in with this cabinet just now. A heavy metal cabinet is made of metal.
My cabinet, yeah. My friends from Taurus Amps, who I am very proud to be endorsed by, and they provide me with phenomenal amplifier SH5, which is on my pedal board. You know, it's just 2 kilograms, but you can play the, you know, whatever stage you want with that. It's 90 watt. You know, in such a small, compact space, and it sounded huge. But yeah, but to make the shows bigger and everything, and make my life more difficult, they provide this heavy metal cap. Well, has the name heavy metal, right? So it has to...
And you're not using a mic either sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, is that integral miking just is installed inside this cap, and in most of the time I just connect like this, you know, like without microphone, so I'm very consistent with what I'm doing.
What a player. Love it, love it. And such a nice all-round guy. And what great guitars he makes as well. I think we're so lucky to have people like this in the UK.
Absolutely, Lars. Now, over lockdown, you spent your time talking to loads of artists and musicians. In fact, let's see how you got on talking to ex-Iron Maiden guitarist legend, Bob Angelo Sawyer.
Bob Angelo Sawyer, guitar and amp collector, lover of all things psychedelic and artist in his own right.
Well, thank you very much.
So what, are you trapped in lockdown? I mean, you do a lot of live gigs. Are you sort of just waiting to get out like everybody else, I'd imagine?
Exactly, Lars. Everyone is chafing at the bit to get out and gig again, but unfortunately we can't. And in the foreseeable future, you know, we just don't know what's happening, really.
You've posted a lot of really cool psychedelic sitar sounding videos on YouTube, stuff you've done in your studio there and your live band stuff as well. But going back, you've been in several really cool metal bands, Praying Mantis and the first incarnation of Iron Maiden. When did you go down the psychedelic route?
Well, I've always liked psychedelia since my teens. And, well, after like the metal band period, I went back into pub bands and we were playing blues and rock. And it just kind of evolved from there, really.
We're talking sort of late 70s? Metal stuff like the new wave maybe of heavy metal. I mean, that's a time when punk was really in full swing there. Was there ever like a clash was there ever a clash of gigs between metal and punk? I mean, some great punk songs when you listen to them now.
Not for us, really. I mean, when I joined Maiden in late 76, punk was really getting underway. And I was with Maiden until July 77. That was right in the face of punk. But it didn't make any difference to us. We were gigging 4 nights a week. And, you know, a lot of bands were losing their gigs, but for some reason we didn't.
It sounds like a really devil cast his net band. Have you got memories and stories about all that?
Oh, memories and stories, mate. I've got plenty. Let me just show you this. This is my book that I've written. Every gig that I've done with Iron Maiden and Praying Mantis is in this book. All the tours and everything. It's a barrel of laughs. It's full of nonsense and rock and roll craziness. So if anyone wants to buy it, it's on sale. Get it from Amazon.
Fantastic. That's a good plug. Well, you're in your flagship purple vest. I've seen you in a lime green one, a Dayglow orange one. Dayglow paints and stuff, you love it. I can see around those posters, but it also reflects, I mean, you're a lover of vintage guitars, amps as well, which we'll talk about in a moment, but I happen to know you've made some of your own finishes on some of your guitars.
It's very kind of Heath Robinson, you know, it's not to any real decent format. What I really do is I'll show you one. Here we have a Strat body in raspberry ripple. Well, that's what I call it anyway. And the way I did that, oh, there's also another one. Hang on a sec. Hang on. Another one here in a different flavour of raspberry ripple. And how I do those is I get a what do you call it? Water butt full of water and float paint on the top and literally dip the body in and pull it out. And it's as simple as that. All very haphazard, but it works.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I know when I came to your lockup a little while ago, several years ago now, we took some photographs, but we're going to put up as well as we're talking here. Some of the scratch plates as well look a bit unique on some of those guitars. What's that about?
Well, I make them up as well. Another one, an exhibit. This one here.
And here's one we made earlier.
Here's one I made earlier, a few years ago, yeah. Yeah, I just design them and paint them, basically. No, that's the only one I've got at the moment. Yeah, I just get flashes of inspiration and I do like a something very personalised on my guitar, so I do it all myself.
I say we photographed quite a few of the guitars that we came up there. You like vintage guitars, vintage sort of 60s Gibsons and Fenders as well?
Oh, I do, yeah. Yeah, I'll just show you a couple. I just happen to have my 59 Junior. Yeah, lovely old Junior. Had that many years, got it years ago when you could actually afford vintage guitars. And there's another. My Melody Maker. Yeah, lovely little guitar. That was my main guitar in Nitro Blues in the late 80s and early 90s. I used that for years. Fabulous little thing.
You've actually got a separate page on Facebook for the likes of the Melody Maker and Junior. That's a favourite guitar of yours.
I started a page because they're kind of like unsung guitars. Everyone knows about Les Pauls and Flying V's and everything, but I started a page just for those two guitars, and there's a lot of interest, a hell of a lot of interest.
Yeah, it's incredible really when you think those were sort of just budget guitars, weren't they? Made for the student with one pickup on it, a couple of controls, strip it right back, and here we are now. Just got to get one for slide and all that sort of stuff. I see on Facebook as well, and social channels, several of them, you're a lover of the vibrato. You use that quite a bit.
Yes, I do. There are certain trems that work really well. I mean, the good old Strat tremolo is pretty good if you don't go too mad. But the one I like, I'll just show you, just happens to be on this Gretsch. Now, this Gretsch came with a Bigsby, and I personally don't like Bigsby's. I think they suck the tone and they're hard to tune. This is a Gibson Vibrola, an incredible tremolo. You know, they're really true to pitch and positive action. They're great. However, there is another tremolo that I really don't like, and I'm going to show you. It's on this SG, a nice Gibson SG, which is almost a copy of an SG Custom. Now look at that. That resembles a Portuguese hand pump, doesn't it? It doesn't look like a tremolo, and it doesn't really work like one, but it don't half look good.
So you're not a fan of the sideways vibrato then?
No, I honestly don't know what Gibson thought they were doing when they invented that, because it doesn't work. It doesn't come back in tune, and it's dreadful to try and use. It goes against what you're trying to do.
I know you are a lover of vintage amps as well, and when I came to see you, had quite a few old Marshalls and Orange and things like that, but especially the Selma with the crocodile edges. I thought they were, you know, the covering very, very good. What is your main guitar gigging amp now? Because we talked about valves versus transistors. There's some great transistor amps around at the moment.
Yeah, there are. I've actually got a Fender Blues Junior, a little tweed one, which has got a lovely tone. But sometimes I use a big Marshall 1x12 combo, a big white one, which is super powerful for some gigs. All my Selmas just stay in the museum.
Going back to the day I spent with you a couple of years ago now, you had a room full of analogue pedals on the floor, some of the early pedals, treble boosters, early overdrives and things like that. Are you still a fan of all that?
Oh, of course I am. Of course, I've got a couple of pedals to show you here. Just a sec. This here is an original late 60s colour sound power booster. Now this thing doesn't do much until the volume control gets almost a full pelt, and then it just goes crazy, stratospheric. It's like a wall of Marshalls. And another, this, probably the first multi-effects. It's a squall pedal, they call it, because you can get wah-wah, volume, surf and hurricane effects. Now they might sound pretty twee, but you put them through an amp with loads of echo and reverb and it almost sounds convincing. But the real ace in the hole is this, the siren, the same that the Sweet used on Blockbuster. Now if you put that through an echo unit and a PA and keep turning it on and off, it sounds like a fleet of police cars in New York.
Wonderful. Hey, what's the headstock? I can see a Les Paul headstock there in the corner somewhere.
Yes, over there, that's my gold top. Would you like to see that?
Of course, of course.
Now this is probably my favourite Les Paul. It looks pretty vintage, doesn't it? But it's not. I faked it. But it sounds great. It's got stacked noiseless P90s and it sings like a bird.
Lovely, brilliant, lovely.
While we're on Les Pauls, Lars, while we're on Les Pauls, this is the very guitar I used in Iron Maiden all those years ago, but it didn't look like this at the time. I bought it in the Orange shop in 1972 for 180 quid, and it was gold with P90s, and it's had a few different finishes and different pickups. But I had this love, can you see the flame in that? Hope you can. It had a lovely flame top put on it about 20 years ago, and it's a great player. But I do prefer the gold one, actually.
Man of many tales. And on that note, I've mentioned several times to people that I've talked to you about, I called you Mr. Memory of Rock, only in my own head, but you just seem to have this thing. I think we talked about, oh crikey, it might be late 60s or something. I went to the Waldorf Street, the Marquee, and I said I saw a band, I think it was Van de Graaff Generator. You just come out with, yeah, guess who was on the bill? Guess what time it started? Guess how much the tickets were? And you've done it so many times. How do you do that?
Yeah, I can remember all that stuff. I mean, I have an incredible memory, only for all things rock and roll. Anything academic, forget it. But yeah, I saw all those great bands years ago for next to nothing. I saw Led Zeppelin in 1969 in the back room of a pub for what is the equivalent now of, wait for it, 27.5p, 5 and 6pence in old money, and that's not a lie. Oh, and I also saw Black Sabbath for 6 bob, 30p back in the day.
Well, I can see on your posters behind you, you know, the lover of the posters, and some of those you put on Facebook as well, the prices,
yeah,
like you say. It's crazy, crazy. Well, this has been really good, Bob. Thanks for coming on to BRG Live. Oh, lastly, did you mention where we can get the book?
Best place to get the book is on Amazon. It's a little bit tricky to get it through the publishers, Weimar UK, but if you go on Amazon, you'll find it easy enough. It's well worth it, so they tell me.
We need to come with a camera crew and to visit you at one of your gigs and get a nice psychedelic vibe from it.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great, Lars. Lars, before I go, can I just impart a little bit of my wisdom?
Of course.
Right then, gentlemen, on Gibson toggle switches, I often see in shops, they've got the switch loaded one way or the other. Never leave it loaded, always leave it in the middle position, because it doesn't load the springs unevenly. Okay, that's just a little bit of technicality there. And all these guitar shops get it wrong. They always leave the switch loaded.
Fantastic. Call out Bob Angelo Sawyer, folks, if you need any facts and figures or trivialities on anything to do with guitars and amps. Thank you so much, Bob. Nice to see you again.
Thank you, Lars. It's been a pleasure, mate. See you again soon, I hope.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this show. Great luthiers, great guitar collection, great content. What else can I say? I think Gareth's gone off to have his hair cut. We'll see what it's like next time.